News. London Transport say they may have to close the underground system due to an infestation of horses. A report described the conditions in the equine plague as like an abattoir in a power cut.
What's up, YouTube? So I'm going to react to someone who is very divisive, I think is the word. I think he's dead now. He should be anyway, because he's a fat bastard. Bernard Manning. Sorry to anyone who knew him or his family. That was just a joke. And actually a very bad taste joke, which sort of sums up old Bernard quite well. He was well known as for, I mean, he worked in working men's clubs doing his act. I assume, I mean, I'm not an expert on him, but I assume through 50s, 60s, 70s, and then I think when we got to the 80s, the political correct brigade came in and he became a sort of hated figure for being racist and sexist and etc, etc, etc. So yeah, divisive, upset a lot of people, but also made a lot of people laugh. So let's have a little look at Bernard Manning. My headphones are broken. I think they're not working. I need to get some new ones, so I'm gonna have to play it quietly, otherwise we'll get that ridiculous echoing thing you get. So the other thing to say, my videos keep getting blocked. If this one's blocked, then obviously you won't be watching this. I'm confused because I generally take videos off YouTube, record them and then react to them, which I assume most people do. And the videos that have been blocked, I've seen other people reacting to, so I don't know why, and I don't understand why you can post something on YouTube, just, you know, Jim Jeffries or whatever is one that got blocked, but you can't show that on another video with you watching it. Isn't that fair use? I don't know. Am I not putting the right disclaimers in? I can't believe that everybody who does reaction videos emails the company that licenses and requests that can I watch this, but you know, maybe they do. Maybe that's my mistake. So anyway, let's dive right in.
Amy Goldberg's telling his mate, he says, Morris, are you coming to Spain with the boys? We're going over to Spain. It's nice holiday, he says. You love it over there. Nice sunshine, lovely weather, nice food. Get creplet, loction, all the lot. He says, no, you're going by plane. He says, I wouldn't fly. I'm very unlucky, he says. And planes, he says, they're always crashing. Every time you open a newspaper, a plane crashed. Not me, he says, I go by boat. I'll see you there. So he went by boat, but the boat sank. Plane hit it. I went to see about his mate's funeral. He said, I've come to order a funeral. He said, how much? He said, well, we have £1,000 job. He says, that's 14 horses, put in a gold coach with gold handles on the coffin, oak wood, leaded lined, 1,000 people, 1,000 mourners, weeping and wailing behind the... Oh, he said, it's a bit too much, that. He said, £1,000, he said. So, well, we have a £500 job, he said. 7 horses, put in a silver coach with silver handles and a pine box coffin. And 100 mourners weeping and wailing at the back. He said, it's still a bit too much, that. He said, how much have you got? He says, 15 quid. He said, well, we can accommodate you people. He said, oh, yes. We have a pit pony dragging handcart, he said. And we put the body in a sack. And we have a one-man band coming up behind, you know. Top hat on, blue shirt, yellow trousers, green shoes. Is he any weeping and wailing? He said, oh, no, we all have a bloody good laugh. Lancashire lad wins £250,000 on the pools, buys a big farm in America, just outside Texas. Sheep, horses, cows, ducks, the lot. And he's only there about a fortnight. He finds out he's got no cock for his hens. So he walks 60 miles to his next-door neighbour, flat cap, white raincoat, galoshes, Woodbine. Knocks on his next-door neighbour's door. I'll speak a bit of American for you now. What do you want, buddy? Now, I've never been there. You wouldn't believe that, would you? He said, have you got a cock for me hen? He said, man, I got a cock. You ain't never seen a cock like this, boy. He's a goer. Friend, this cock will cost you $1,000 and you ain't never seen a cock like this, boy. He says, a lot of money. He said, it's a lot of cock, man. He said, well, after have it. He said, I'm not walking any further, he says. There's your $1,000. Takes this cock back and what a cock it was. A belter. The hens are laying 18 eggs a day apiece. The sheep's laying eggs, the bull's laying eggs. All the cows are laying eggs. The farm's full of eggs. And one day this cock's missing about a week later. He thought, now, where's that cock gone, all that money? Just two little footprints out to the middle of the desert. He follows these footprints and there's the cock in the middle of the desert on its back, shattered. And 16 vultures flying overhead. He said, well, I lived in Lancashire all my life, he said. By God, he said, I've never seen nothing like you, he said. Ridiculous the way you've gone on this last few weeks. Them vultures there, they're only waiting for you to close your eyes. They'll be down, they'll pick your bones clean. And the cock open one eye like that. He said, let them settle. It's the way I tell them. Well, I went to the doctor. He said, give me some strychnine or arsenic. He said, anything. He said, I want to see the wife. I said, I'm sick of it. Couldn't stand another day with her. He said, no, you don't need to do it that way, Charlie. Make love to her any time you can. Morning, noon, and night. Make love. She'll be dead in 9 months. He said, are you sure? He said, I'm telling you. Any time you can, make mad, passionate love. Every minute of the day if you can. He said, I'll try it. 3 months later, he's going through the park. He sees this fella in a wheelchair, all drawn and haggard. He said, how you going on, Charlie? He says, oh. Oh. I'm not so bad. He said, how's the wife? He said, she's over there playing tennis. He says, she looks fit, Charlie. He says, aye, he says. She doesn't know she's only 6 months to live. George, very nice. Size of him is in dressing room 17, 18 and 19. They're fat. Tell them what they're fat like that, isn't it? Shocking. His wife's the same. She went to the sauna baths and lost 4 stone in 1 morning. One of the machines ripped a leg off. Long-distance lorry driver walked in this cafe on the M1. He said, I want a sausage, but burn the outside and undercook the inside. And the steak, burn it to a frazzle so I can't eat it. Some cold beans and the egg, cook the white, leave the yolk. He said, I can't do that. He said, why not? You did it yesterday. The Pony Express. Riding with the mail through Apache territory to Fort Apache. And he's riding there. He got a lance right through his neck. Ow! 6 arrows in his back. Ow! They shot the horse from under him. Shot in the leg and he hobbled to the fort. He kicked open the colonel's door and he said, there's no mail today. fella picked the phone up. He says, hello, is that the asylum? And the voice at the other end said, no, it can't be. We're not on the phone. The fella walked into a psychiatrist. He said, I can't stop telling lies. He said, I don't believe you. Dr. Watson said to Sherlock Holmes, you'll never guess what happened to me today, Sherlock. He said, I know exactly what happened to you. He said, you got up this morning, had cornflakes and coffee, went down, seen a film at the Odeon, went in a club in Soho, had your tea in town, came home, read a book, went straight to bed. He said, marvellous, how do you know that, Sherlock? He said, I was with you, you Burke. English teacher went over in Ireland teaching. He says to this little lad, Tony Flanagan, he says, who pulled down the walls of Jericho? He said, it wasn't me. So he went to the headmaster. He said, what a school this. He said, I've taught all over the world. He said, I've just asked a little boy there called Tony Flanagan who pulled down the walls of Jericho, and he said it wasn't him. The headmaster says, well, I've known the Flanagan family for about 25 years. And if young Tony Flanagan says he didn't do it, then I believe him. This young fella says to his brother, he says, Bruce, he said, I'm going to Blackpool for the week. Would you mind me cat? He said, certainly, certainly. He phoned from Blackpool after about 3 days. He says, Bruce, that you, sweet? He said, yes. He said, how's me cat? He said, it's dead. Oh, he said, you have given me a shock now. He said, I feel all, he said, I've gone all queer. He said, it's terrible. This. What a shock you've given me, he says. Couldn't you broke it more gentle than that? He said, couldn't you said it was playing with a ball on the roof and it fell off and you got the vet and you injected it and you nursed it for 3 or 4 nights and it died in its sleep? He said, I never thought. He said, well, you give me a terrible shock. How's my mother? He said, well, she was playing with a ball on the roof. This lad was always fighting in scraps. The police took him in the police station there and his mother came to see him. She says, Tony, what's the matter with you? Always a fighting and playing and through and terrible fights. It's shocking. He says, don't talk like that, mother. She says, I'm a working all the day to make a nice little home for you and your fathers are down the pit and he's working his fingers to the bones. What's the matter with you, Tony? She said. He said, don't talk like that, mother. She said, what do you mean, don't talk like that? He says, you're not Italian. An American tourist on the bus passing Manchester Town Hall. He said, say, buddy. Little Lancashire lad at the side. What's that there? He said, that. That's our town hall, he said. It's our clock. He said, we've got prefabs bigger than that in America. He said, oh, aye. Just then, a fire engine went past. 90 mile an hour, turntable ladders, all bells ringing. He said, what was that, buddy? He said, a window cleaner late for work. Irishman came home from the building site, full of stuff. The landlady says, I'm glad you're early, Paddy. She said, the bulb's gone in the best room. She says, I'll fix that for you, Mrs. Woman. Don't you worry about that. And he walks in the best room and stands on a £1,000 piano. Beautiful piece of furniture. In this muddy well, isn't it? She said, hang on, I'll put a bit of paper under your feet. He said, no, you're all right, I can reach it, he said. Napoleon rode to the top of this hill on his horse. Weighing the job up there. 50,000 Russian troops out front. 25,000 of his own troops galloping behind him. And he shouts, halt! They all stopped about 4 miles away. And this footman pushed his way through all the troops and run 4 miles to Napoleon. He went. Napoleon said, what do you want? He said, I thought he shouted me. He said, I shouted, halt. Oh, he said, I thought he shouted, Walt. I went to the doctor. He said, I'm very, very worried. He said, what are you worried about? Have you got a good home? He said, yes, I live in Cheshire. Nice big home there. Yacht, Cairns, Rolls Silver Cloud, Mercedes. He said, what are you worried about? He said, well, I only get £9.15 a week. Two astronauts came out of this pub on the moon. Well sloshed they were. One said, that's the last time I go in there. He said, why? He said, there's no atmosphere.
Right, so there you go. What have I got to say? I think it's actually, that was very good. It's quite easy to well, I've watched quite a lot of old comedy from 70s or whatever, 70s 80s, and often I sort of say, oh, it was simpler back then, the comedy was a bit more straightforward, it wasn't so clever. But actually a lot of those jokes are quite surreal, and in that sense quite sort of modern, really. As for the shocking aspect, I don't think those clips are necessarily the most shocking or racist jokes he did. There's some, races mentioned a few times. I think it's interesting. It's really self-limiting. I mean, if you did Bernard Manning's act now and told the same jokes, not many people would probably come and see you. Not in the sort of, the age we live in now. I mean, Roy Chubby Brown is, I don't know if he's still about or alive, but he was up till pretty recently. He had an audience, mainly sort of Blackpool seaside resorts, that sort of thing, and people went, and it was a certain sort of demographic. You're not going to get your Guardian reading middle class people going to see it. There is quite a big class element to all this. But essentially, if you are overtly racist and offensive, probably these days, well, you're not going to become a mainstream act. So it is self-limiting, in my opinion. If people don't like what you're saying, they won't come and see you. You won't make any money. A great example, just to finish, is something I saw, and I must try and find it. I think he was called the Dice Man, and he was a comedian who was around in, I think, either late 80s or early 90s in America, and he was just totally racist, and not even in a funny way. He'd just be like, I got in a cab and the guy was from Mexico, and he said and I couldn't hear anything he was saying, and he's just sort of taking the piss out of his accent, and he sort of, the punchline is learn to speak English, and all the audience are cheering and whatever. I mean, no one's ever heard of him, obviously, so that's a sort of a good example. If you do offensive, I don't think offensive stuff should be banned. I think if you do something offensive and it's probably not going to be popular, because most people don't like offensive sort of nasty, shall I say, sort of stuff. I must react to Jerry Sadowitz though, because he sort of bases his whole act on being offensive and nasty, and he's absolutely brilliant. So thank you, and don't nobody go nowhere.
Special staff who had to patrol the darkened tunnels every day and kill the horses with hammers. But now, say officials, the horses have become a menace.
Due to a large pile of horses blocking the line at Marble Arch, all services have been cancelled.